Okay, another tutorial. I'm going to teach you how to fold my No Frills Ninja. So ideally you have a piece of paper that's black on one side and something else on the other. It definitely needs to be double-sided. What we do is we fold the point up, fold the first diagonal. This is based on that origami cup again. So I've folded a few models based on this. So and then what we do is we fold this point down to here, a bit like that, but we only pinch here. So you should end up something that looks like that. Okay. And then we fold this point to that pinch, like so. Okay. And then we do the same thing with this point to the other edge, like that. Again, like so. And then you're a couple of folds away, basically, from an origami cup. Okay, so now we turn that the other way around. Should we just make sure there's creases nice and firm? And okay, so we'll unfold to there. What we're going to do now is fold these points here and here up to the middle line, like so. So you should see, yeah, like that. Right, okay. Nice firm crease along there. Now next thing we're going to do is going to put this fold back in, and very, very carefully make sure you get a nice point here. Okay. Do one side, and fold the other side back in. And again, important thing is get a nice point there, which I've managed to not do here. Let's have a look. Still rubbish, but anyway, this is a tutorial and things go wrong. Right, there we go. So we've got something like that. That's not too bad. That'll do. Okay, excellent. Right, so again, nice firm creases. Right, and then we unfold that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is something like a squash fold. So we're going to put that fold back in, but at the same time squashing here. So what you should end up with is something like this. Is not an easy fold. So I'll show that again. You fold that back and then squash here, okay? So you end up with something that's like that. And effectively you're bisecting this angle here. It's not an easy fold, that one. So you end up with something that looks like that, okay? We do the same thing on the other side. So you fold that back in and you let that come up like so. Okay, and then you end up with something that looks like that. And these are going to be your two ninja eyes. And if you fold that back in like so, you can start seeing your ninja taking shape. Okay. Right, so the next thing we do is we take this point at the bottom and fold it. And you should be able to just tuck it under slightly, hopefully, and fold along like so. And you end up with something else like that. Okay, right, so now one thing we're going to do is we're just going to tuck these ends in a little bit. So again, this is a bit of a judgment fold. Just tuck the edges in like that, and then reverse fold that back in. That just gets those out of the way for later. There we go. Right, so as you can see now, that gets rid of the edges. Right, so back in. Cool. Okay, so hold that back down. Hold that back down. And now you can see we're starting to get something that looks a bit like the ninja. Cool. Right. So we turn around, and what we do is roughly on the centre, we fold in. So there's a few layers there you might find, and we do the same thing on the other side. And again, this is a bit of a work in progress, to be honest. I haven't actually nailed this bit, but I think it doesn't really matter. So what you end up with is something that looks a bit like that. Okay, and again, nice sharp creases. Okay, so you end up like that. Okay. Right, open that out, and then what we're going to do, again, it's like there'll be a crease here already, You just open it out like so. This is a bit fiddly, but ideally what you want to do is you do a squash fold that then looks like something like that, okay? And you fold that. Ideally you might need to adjust these sides a bit to get it to, and you end up with something that doesn't look very good. Okay, let's put it back in like that, okay? So now you end up with something that looks like that, okay? It's a bit of a mess in there. Like I say, this is a work in progress. It doesn't really matter ultimately. And then what we do is we fold that tip over, bring it out and fold that back, okay? And then what we end up with is something like that. You can see we've got like a bit of a base thing going on. Cool, so we're not far away now. All we need to do is shape the head. So a bit of a angle like so. And on the other side, and we just do a rabbit here behind, and there we have it. There we have your No Frills Ninja.